Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers is one of the best two-player games on the NES, and is still a fun pick-up-and-play platformer if you're going solo. After DuckTales sold 1.67 million copies, making it developer Capcom's best-selling game ever on the NES, they began developing more games using the Disney license, and it made sense to look at the second show developed for the Disney afternoon cartoon block, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. Unlike DuckTales, which was based on an existing comic book, Rescue Rangers was developed exclusively for television, although it did get its own comic series after the fact. The original idea was a Miami Vice-inspired detective series starring Bernard and Bianca from Disney's 1977 movie, The Rescuers. In the late 1980s, before the release of The Rescuers Down Under, it was unclear if the Rescuers were popular enough characters to carry a syndicated cartoon, so eventually they were replaced with Chip 'n Dale, the mischievous chipmunks created in 1943 for Disney short cartoons, who have absolutely nothing to do with Chip 'n Dale's, which wasn't established until 1979. Chip, the leader, is a bit uptight and typically wears an Indiana Jones-like fedora, while Dale is a more free-spirited wildcard, dressed like Magnum P.I. In the game, you can play as Chip or Dale. They control identically, but it is a nice touch that you can choose your favorite in a single-player game. New characters created for the show also appear in the game, including Gadget Hackwrench, who is cast as a damsel in distress in the game, but at least she seems to be helping by giving Chip 'n Dale clues from behind enemy lines. Cheese-obsessed Monterey Jack will open up new paths, while Zipper, the tiny fly, grants temporary invincibility. Chip 'n Dale battle against the nefarious Fat Cat, whose voice actor Jim Cummings described as being like Dom DeLuise. The game is not nearly as difficult as most NES platformers from this era, so it's a bit surprising to hear that it was produced by Tokuro Fujiwara, the director of some of the most sadistically difficult NES games of all time, including the original Mega Man and Ghosts 'n Goblins. Chip 'n Dale is pretty far from Ghosts 'n Goblins. The graphics are colorful and the environments created by scaling up everyday objects are fun to explore. Boxes you find not only contain power-ups, but can be used as weapons or shields. The music upholds the high standards of Capcom's Disney series, and you'll find yourself humming along as you play. Of course, the game was a huge success when it released in June of 1990. It managed to sell over 1.2 million copies and led to one sequel on the NES, Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers 2. The show only lasted for 3 seasons, and while it was broadcast as reruns for years after the initial release, Capcom never made a third game in the series. Today, the show still has a cult following, and the original game remains a favorite amongst fans and critics. When IGN released their list of the top 100 NES games of all time, they ranked Rescue Rangers at number 71. If you want to play Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers on a modern platform, it is included as part of the Disney Afternoon Collection, available on Xbox, PlayStation, and Steam. Modern players that attempt this game will still have to deal with all of the challenges the NES is notorious for. Sure, this isn't as difficult as Battletoads, but you can still fall off the screen into instant death pits, and you do not get unlimited continues. If you die one too many times, it's game over. But what if I told you how to beat every zone? Even the optional ones? What if I showed you where to find every hidden item so you'll always have tons of lives? And what if I showed you how to beat every boss? Even Fat Cat himself? Well, on today's episode of You Can Beat Video Games, we'll learn all of that and more. If you're new to the channel, we're doing deep dives on retro video games and giving you the professional strategies that can be used by the casual gamer. Please make sure to subscribe and check out youcanbeatvideogames.com for episode lists, news, and official You Can Beat Video Games merchandise. Let's get started. Alright, Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers. As a kid, I would have fought you to play as Chip, but as an adult, I think I'm more of a Dale guy. At the beginning, we see this cutscene that sets up the story, and I can't think of any kid that had the patience to actually read through this, but if you do, you'll find out that the Rescue Rangers have a friend named Mandy who lost her kitten, and I want to know, is Mandy a human girl that lost her pet? Or is she an adult cat that had her child taken away? It makes a big difference concerning the severity of this situation. We begin our catnapping investigation here in Zone 0, the city streets, and you'll see that there are a number of objects that we can pick up to use as weapons. The most common are these boxes, which you'll want to pick up anyway because underneath them you may find items. If you watch the video, you'll see which boxes you need to pick up to find the items, but the things you're typically going to find are flowers, which are sort of like the coins in this game. You'll need to find 100 of those to get an extra life. And also there are stars, which are a little bit more valuable. 10 stars can be used to generate a 1-up. There's a hidden star right above that plant, so you'll want to jump high enough to make it appear. And then head over to the right where we'll fight a few more mechanical dogs, and then we'll need to climb up these pipes. You need to be very careful when climbing in this game. The screen does not scroll backwards, so if you drop off the bottom, you'll lose a life and die. In this treasure chest, we'll find Zipper for the first time. Zipper will give you temporary invincibility, but don't fall in a pit because you can still die. Underneath some of these boxes, you'll find acorns. The flashing ones will restore your hearts to full, while the not flashing ones will just give you a single heart back. Getting that one flower on the right side is kinda difficult and probably not worth it. And up here we'll find some steel boxes, which are very similar to the wooden ones, except you can't throw them as far, but they can be reused multiple times. You can also stack up the steel boxes and use them as platforms. You'll want to be particularly careful here. There's an acorn if you need it, but if you die in this part of the stage before you make it to the door that's coming up, you'll have to start over at the very beginning. There are no checkpoints in this very long early part of the stage. Watch out for the bare parts of the wires. You can get electrocuted. If you press down and the jump button at the same time, you can drop through platforms, and that's how you can get down to some of these lower areas, like to pick up those flowers. Once you get through the door, you'll hit the first checkpoint, and we're actually very close to the end of this zone. We seem to be in some kind of science lab, but that wick in the beaker in the background makes me wonder if it's a Molotov. Where is this place? In any case, use those steel boxes to climb over to the right, and if you hold down while you're holding a box, you can use it as a shield, and that's actually one of your most powerful maneuvers in this game. Make sure to use it frequently. At the end, you'll find a flashing acorn under the last box, and in here, Monterey Jack will open up the door to the boss. This guy is known as the Brusher, and he is very easy. You just want to pick up the ball and throw it upwards at the green weak point, then move out of the way of those lightning bolts, and then move back in, grab the ball, and repeat it 5 times. After the Brusher's defeated, we'll come to the bonus stage, and if you pick up the middle box at the top, you'll usually find a 1-up. Well, it looks like Fat Cat has kidnapped Gadget, And the whole kitten thing was just a clever trap, or so he says. I don't know how clever it actually was. What if Gadget had come with us? What would the plan have been then? At this point, we'll be able to choose between zones B and A. If you just want to beat the game, going to zone B is the faster path, so we'll do that first, but we are going to play all of the levels, so we'll check out zone A as well later. In here we have a bar area, and there's a lot of flowers and stars to collect here at the beginning. One thing to keep in mind is that whenever you collect the 100th flower, you don't immediately get the 1-up. Instead, a 1-up star will float onto the screen, sort of like the Starman does in Super Mario Bros. 2. If you don't collect it, you won't get credit for it, and if you go through a door, you'll miss it, so make sure to pay attention to how many flowers you have before you go into another part of a zone. There's an acorn to be found at the beginning of this area, and these enemies are called popper mice. They kind of run in and throw some green balls your way, and then they just back off. Now, if you're holding a box, you can actually just press down a few times to turn off these taps. It's much faster than jumping on them, and there's one of those 1-up stars. But if you're not holding a box, then you'll have to just jump 3 times on them. There's no enemies in this area, so as long as you don't touch the water, you'll be safe. Take your time, collect all the flowers, and then make your way to the next part of the zone. Watch out for these popper mice, and pay attention to how short Chip or Dale's jump is while holding a heavy apple. As you make your way to the right, if you hide inside of a box, you can use it to defend yourself against the buzz bombers, but you won't be able to do the same thing in this area. So as soon as they start moving towards you, that's when you'll need to be ready to jump over them. So carefully make your way across those pots. If you fall into them, that's instant death. And on the other side, you'll find a mysterious item, the pee bottle. Now, as a kid, I never knew what the pee bottle did. I thought it was a pepper shaker, but it just seems to give Chip or Dale the power to jump at full height when carrying an apple. Considering how few apples there are in the game, it's not a very exciting power-up, but it is nice to finally know what it does. These enemies are called ditzes, and they will transform into Chip or Dale when you're nearby. It can be kind of confusing in a 2-player game, but you should hopefully know which one you're controlling. The boss is this spaceship. You'll mostly want to hit it by throwing the ball up at it, but whenever it comes at you on the level, you can throw it horizontally and you may be able to score 2 hits, but be careful not to get hit by your own ball. Once the spaceship is defeated, we'll get the bonus stage again, and then we'll be able to move on to Zone D, but we skipped over A and C before, so we're going to revisit them now. Here we get a message from Gadget, whose incompetent captors have left her so unattended she was able to rig up an entire communications device. Well, let's check out Zone A. Zone A takes place on a tree, and it's mostly an upward scrolling stage. I'm glad they put 2 flashing acorns at the beginning of this stage before any enemies appear. Yeah, thanks Capcom. As you climb the tree, you'll typically want to throw boxes upwards to take out worms from below, although if you need to attack them to the left or the right, you'll want to hold down to throw a box directly in front of your character. There are flowers hidden in the leaves here, so try to collect a few of those as you climb up, and make sure that you're always carrying a box when you get to this section. You can just press down to defend yourself from ninja squirrels that will float in. We're almost to the end of the zone now, so just keep taking out the worms from below, and make sure that you're always carrying a box so that you can just press down to defend yourself against the ninja squirrels. There's an acorn right over here to the left that you can pick up before the boss, and there's also a few more hidden flowers in the leaves before the door. But once you pass through, it's time for the boss, the owl. Just like most bosses in this game, you're going to attack the owl by throwing a ball at it from below, although it will occasionally try to swoop down on you, so watch out for that, and avoid the feathers that slowly descend towards Chip or Dale. After 5 hits, the owl will be defeated, and we'll be on to Zone C. Before we move on to the next zone, we have the bonus stage and then another message from Gadget. Hey Gadget, Have you heard anything there at Fat Cat's lair about Mandy's kitten? Considering Fat Cat is a cat himself, what is he going to do with that kidnapped kitten anyway? Wait, is this whole kidnapping scheme just a small part of a larger cat trafficking operation? Huh, we need to take the clues and find the wheres and whys and whos. And to do that, our next stop is the library. There's some nasty enemies in this zone called racket roos, and if you get right in front of them, they're going to hit you with their projectiles, so you want to navigate through this area in such a way that you'll stay away from those guys. It's not too hard to hit them from behind or underneath, but yeah, it's when you get right in front of them that they're dangerous. Make your way over to the right, stay on the top shelf here, and you'll be able to grab an acorn. And then drop down. You may need to be holding a box to be able to collect some of the flowers in this area. It's kind of weird how the mechanics work in this game sometimes. Grab that acorn if you need it, and then jump over this racket roo at the bottom, and head over to the right. If you stand on the middle of this pyramid of boxes, that'll give you a good shot at that racket roo, or you can actually walk right underneath it and throw a box upward. Carry a box with you. You're going to want to carefully get over this racket roo. You can be hit by its projectile when you're standing on that box in front of it. Dodge the shots from the one at the top and take him out, and then head over to the right. You need to hit that bird with a box or something will get you there. Make your way over to the right, and you're almost to the end of this part of the stage, but don't forget to grab a 1-up if it floats onto the scene before you enter the door. You can simply drop through this platform to get down to the bottom where you'll find a hidden star, and that's also a good way to avoid that racket roo above. You can hit this one from below or just try to take some shots at it from the side, and you're going to head underneath this fan, and you should be able to easily defeat this racket roo from that position. There's a full 1-up down there in the bottom, so grab it and make your way over to the right. Inside this box, we'll be able to meet with Zipper. Zipper is going to give us some invincibility, although if you want to grab the flowers out of the boxes below, do that first, because once Zipper is going, you want to make your way to the right as quickly as possible. So head past these stacks of books, and we're almost to the end of Zone C, and this time there is no boss, so you just have to go from light to light, and, well, if you needed another P power-up, there's one there, but if you don't die, it'll stay with you. And there it is. We've finished Zone C, and now you'll see that the paths meet at Zone D. But first we'll have another message from Gadget. Gadget, we don't care about falling iron balls. What we need to know about is Mandy's kitten. I've seen enough SVU to know that the first 48 hours are critical for a kidnapping case. Well, here we are in Zone D. This is Chipmunks in Toyland. The red boxes in this area are actually enemies, and they'll start bouncing around if you get too close to them, so your best bet is to take them out from afar before they start moving. Once they've been activated, you can hit them from below pretty easily, or just try to avoid them. So make your way to the right, collecting treasures and taking out the spring boxes when you can. There's an acorn down here at the bottom, and don't forget that if you hold down, you'll be able to do a lower throw, which can give you some good accuracy against those unmoving boxes. There's another acorn down here at the bottom, and up here at the top we can collect a few more flowers. There are a lot of flowers to collect in this area, so it shouldn't be too hard to work up another extra life. In the instruction manual, it says it only takes 50 flowers to make an extra life, but it definitely takes 100, which makes me wonder if that was a change that they made at the last minute. Maybe a game tester figured out a way to break the game and get extra lives, I'm not sure. But you can use boxes to make these enemies spin, and when they're spinning, they won't be able to punch down at you, but they will still be able to damage you, so don't touch them as they're spinning around. The door to the next area is at the bottom, and over here we'll see some rug rabbits. Rug rabbits will shake the rug at you, but if you get close to them, they'll run away. You should be able to navigate around them fairly easily since there's a lot of platforms here. Remember that holding down and pressing the jump button will let you drop through the floor. Beyond the rug rabbits though, there is going to be a more difficult enemy type that we'll encounter, the red box punching birds. These guys take 2 thrown boxes to kill instead of the normal 1, although if you're hiding inside of a box and using it as a shield, you can kill this enemy with a single hit that way. It doesn't seem like something that would be safe to do since they're punching boxes, but a single box shield attack will kill that enemy. Over here, we need to throw boxes at these switches to turn them off, or you'll be hit with the ball bearings. Just walk off the side there so you don't turn on that switch, and you'll need to turn that one on, but you can quickly turn it off again. Wait for this clown to go back in his box, and up here, these dominoes can actually damage you if you hit the red and yellow part, so just avoid that and head over to the right. We'll grab an extra one up here because of the number of flowers we grabbed. And you do not want to use your box as you climb up here. You need it to take out that spring box. That will make it easier to get through. There's nothing hidden in that big line of boxes, so you can skip over them. And over here, there's a few more of those spring boxes. Try to take them out while they're still in box form, or just get underneath them and avoid them. As you make your way over to the right, we are almost at the end of Zone D. This is one of the longer zones in the game, and probably one of the more difficult, so if you can get past this one, you can probably finish this game. Over here there's another acorn or 2, so make sure to grab those if you need a health refill. The boss is coming up. We'll try to grab a few more flowers, and then we'll head up into this hole, where we'll meet the robot. This is the rare boss that we're going to attack horizontally. You'll take the ball and throw it at the midsection. If you throw it when the robot is about halfway across the screen, you can even get multiple hits. It only takes 5 to take that guy out, and then we'll be on to the next zone. At this point, we can choose to go to the optional Zone E if we want to, although there's not really any good reason to go up there. It's completely for fun. I don't really love this map design. It's such a short game, I think it would make sense instead to have us have to finish all the levels, and we can just use the map so that the player can decide which order to complete them in. And so while there's no practical reason to go to Zone E, there are some interesting unique items at play here, so we'll be able to see things like the hammer and the boat, which aren't used anywhere else in the entire game. Watch out for beetles that are hiding in bushes. You'll be able to see their eyeballs poking out, so you'll know where they're hidden if you're paying attention. Just carry a box with you at most times and you'll be able to duck inside for safety. We can find a star hidden in the boxes up here at the top, and then as we make our way down to the bottom, there is an acorn down here if you need to refill some health. So grab that flashing acorn, keep a box with you to defend yourself against the beetles that hide in the bushes, and there are a few things to be found in the bottom 2 rows of this pyramid of boxes, so once you clear those out, you can head through the door. In this area, you don't want to scroll the screen too far to the right or you won't be able to collect that 1 up. Remember, the screen only will scroll in one direction in this game, so once you go too far to the right, you won't be able to go back to the left. Over here, we're going to find a boat that will get us across this small section of water, but it feels like a missed opportunity, like we could have done something a lot more interesting with this boat. And then we'll find a hammer, which is a similar type thing. There's just this small section of rock that we need to use it to hammer through, and there's nothing hidden in those rocks. I've checked them all. The one nice thing about the hammer is that you can use it as a weapon, so you can use it to hammer these spring boxes on the other side. But it's just a strange item that only appears in this one small section of this optional zone. Yeah, I would have liked to have seen the hammer maybe in some other zones. It might have been fun to use against some enemies. Maybe the programmers thought it was too good. This is the last section of Zone E, and this fulfills the quicksand requirement that was a mandatory part of every platformer game from this era. There's a few hidden stars above that enemy, and these bombs, if you hold them for too long, will blow up in your hands, so you're better off just using the boxes instead. We can get a 1-up star in this treasure box, and the only way that I found to get those last few flowers at the top is to have a second player throw you up there. If you touch this door, you'll automatically go in, but if you're careful, you can get an acorn that's on top of the box right above it on the right side. You gotta be real careful though. If you touch the door at all, you will go into the boss. The boss is some kind of strange electric fish, and you'll want to hit it with the ball 5 times. If you throw it when the fish is very low, you can get multiple hits on it. And that's probably a good idea, because if you let that fish get out of control, it can be one of the most difficult bosses in the game. It can have up to 8 lightning bolts on the screen at the same time. Zone F is the shortest zone in the game, but that doesn't mean it's the easiest. There's a few flowers you can find in these boxes, and you'll want to watch out for those ball bearings as you jump across these pits. But normally, if you do get hit by one of those ball bearings as you jump across, it won't knock you into the pit. It'll probably just knock you onto the side somewhere, but you still don't want to take a bunch of damage early. In this section, more ball bearings will drop down from chutes at the top of the screen. Remember that you can drop through the platforms, and you can use that to your advantage to help you collect the flowers. There's another one of those bird guys. Remember that you'll have to hit them with 2 boxes if you're throwing them, but you can kill them by hiding inside a box and using it as a shield. Once you make your way over to the right, we'll be in the final part of the stage. There is a flashing acorn at the end, but you won't need it. This part is just a platforming challenge. You can find a few flowers by picking up the boxes in this area, but those are your most solid platforms, especially this one right here. If you pick up that box, you won't be able to use it to jump to the platform right above it, which is very easy to do from where you're at right here. So if you do want to collect this acorn, which you don't really need, you'll need to carefully make that jump across to the left, and there's a good chance that you might die attempting it. So instead, you just want to jump straight up the left side, and you'll notice that you may still be able to stand on a platform that's just off the screen at the bottom, but don't count on it. Up here, we're going to find the door that leads to the end, and there's no boss this time. Once we hit it, we'll be on to Zone G. Zone G is Fat Cat's casino, and that's where Gadget is being held hostage. Hopefully it's also where they're keeping Mandy's kitten, because once those kidnapped kittens get a taste for catnip, they are never the same. The casino is located at the end of the map and is one of the largest zones in the game. Watch out for these enemies that look kinda like Yoshi from Mario joined the Mafia. Their name is actually Wart, and they can throw their hat at you, which makes them pretty dangerous. They only require 1 hit to kill though, so throw a box at them from afar and you should be safe, and make your way over to the right side. There's a whole bunch of hidden stars up here on this table, and there's so many stars in this area that if we collect them all, it should not be difficult to get the 10 we need to make an extra life. One nice thing about collecting stars versus flowers is that when you get the 10th star, you get the extra life automatically, and you don't have to catch a floating star that will come flying in on the side of the screen. You'll want to stay at the top here to collect all of these flowers. Now there's our 1-up star, but if we drop down to the bottom, we won't be able to get everything, so we're just going to kind of let it fly onto the screen for a moment, summon those 2 stars at the end, and then collect it before we go through the door. These rhino runners will charge at you and take out any boxes in their path, but unlike many other large enemies in this game, they only take a single box to defeat. So keep a box in your possession whenever you see rhino runners and toss one their way to get them out of your face. And they will often reveal some power-ups for you, so you don't have to worry about them collecting any items that are underneath the boxes that they knock away. Now if you use these steel boxes, you'll be able to get up higher here, and you'll be able to collect the flowers on the top level. You'll need to bounce off of at least 1 box to get up to the top area here, so if you drop down to the bottom to collect some treasures, make sure that there's a platform to stand on and that they haven't all been cleared away by the rhino runners, or you may not be able to get back up to the top. In this matrix of boxes, you can find an acorn, which you might need after all those bad guys we faced below. And then if we make our way over to the right here, we can grab a free star out of the air before we throw those 2 bombs out of the way and go through to the next checkpoint. The blue room here is the final section of the casino, and it contains a few more of those rhino runners. Use the steel boxes to get back up to the top, and when you're jumping from chandelier to light fixture, be careful not to fall down below. That's instant death. In this area, there's some of those buzz bombers. The buzz bombers will fly downwards, and whenever they get onto your eye level, they will immediately charge towards you, so be ready to jump over them or hit them with a box when they do that. You'll need to use the steel boxes here to be able to collect all of the flowers. So collect as many as you can, and then make your way to the other side where you'll find another steel box, and there's a cluster of 4 steel boxes on the right side. We can use these boxes to climb up to the top, and we'll be able to get a 1-up from that treasure chest. And when we jump over to the other side, it'll be time to fight the boss, Fat Cat. No wait, that's not Fat Cat. This is, Slender Cat? Well, in any case, he can only throw those coins at a few different angles, so if you stand a little bit to the left when he's throwing them straight downwards, you'll be able to still hit Slender Cat with the ball, but he won't be able to hit you with the coins. That guy is almost too easy to hit 5 times with the ball, and then we'll be on to the bonus stage, and this time instead of a message from Gadget, we'll actually get to meet her. So have we been carrying those flowers the entire time? And I hate to ruin your fanfiction fantasies, but chipmunks and mice do not have compatible DNA, so Gadget is not going to be interested in Chip or Dale for anything beyond a platonic relationship. If they're interested in nerdy girls, they should hit up Jeanette from Alvin and the Chipmunks. After using Gadget's rocket ship to fly so close to a black hole that time distorts and we end up in the future, we've arrived here at Zone H, the crab sewers. These crabs are large targets, but they shoot a barrage of 3 bubbles at you, so you'll want to hit them from far away with your boxes, and make sure to clear them out before you move forward to the right. Before heading on here, you'll want to take that steel box with you. Not only can you use it to get up to the top to get those 12 flowers, but there's also 2 hidden stars up there to grab. Pretty good. Quickly grab a box and immediately throw it again to take out that crab, and make sure you're carrying a box with you as you move up here. There's more of those ninja squirrels, and you'll also want to be able to take out this crab from below, but watch out for his bubble shots as you're doing it. Drop down here to get a few more flowers. You won't be able to jump all the way up to get the ones in the middle from here, so you're actually going to need to get them from above. So head up here and then drop down to get those flowers. There's a few more crabs up here and a few more of those ninja squirrels, so watch out for them. You may be out of boxes after fighting those crabs. And up here at the top, make sure that you're carrying a box with you to take out that next crab that you can hit from almost off screen, and then drop down here. Make sure you're still carrying a box. There's more of those ninja squirrels here, and the last thing that you want to do is be hit by one while you're jumping across to the other side and get knocked into a pit. And with these 2 steel boxes, you can actually jump up to a hidden star and then make your way to the checkpoint. With no more crabs to be seen, the last part of Zone H is actually pretty easy. There's a few more of those Ditz doppelganger enemies and a lot of flowers to collect. So grab as many flowers as you can, hit the Ditzes with a box to the face if they're in your way, and make your way to the right. Over there's going to be a few more popper mice. This one at the very top will often launch projectiles that won't make it onto the screen, so you'll want to throw some boxes their way or just move to the left to avoid them. Most of the boxes in this area don't have items underneath it except for this flower at the bottom and the star on the right side. And at the very end there's a large matrix of flowers that you can jump onto, and also a few hidden stars. There's no boss at the end of this zone, so once you hit the door, it's time for the bonus stage. There's only 2 more stages to go, and now that Gadget has been rescued, she's going to go back to headquarters, but we'll still get some clues from her between stages. Zone I is actually an office, which I'm supposing is where they launder all the money for the cat trafficking operation, so we gotta shut this place down. There's a new enemy type here, this pelican. If you hit it right in the mouth, it will turn around and spit the box back out at you, so you need to hit those pelicans in the legs, or underneath or from behind. Most of the time from behind will not be an option. Once you've gotten past the pelican, then you're pretty much past it already and you have no real need to kill it. But just in case, make your way to the right, push towards this fan, and be careful once you jump over it that you don't walk into the tacks on the other side. Over here, if you grab this box, there's an acorn underneath, and you'll want to avoid those tacks here as well. They can damage you. Throw a box at the legs of that pelican, and make your way to the right. There's a few more flowers to grab down at the bottom, but be careful not to get blown off the left edge. That is instant death. So whenever you're down here, make sure you're holding to the right so that you can continue to move towards the fan, and you'll need to throw a precision shot up at that pelican. Otherwise, you may run out of boxes to throw at that guy, and you'll have to just do your best to try to jump over. Keep heading over to the right, there's another acorn for you to pick up, and you'll need to throw another box at these pelican legs. If you can get on top of the fan, you can duck down and throw one that way as well. And over here, we'll make it to the second part of the zone. Monterey Jack will open up the door for us, and over here in this side, we'll see a few desk lamps and a couple old school telephones that we'll need to navigate across. And once we get about halfway through this area, we're going to find a treasure chest that contains Zipper, and Zipper will make the rest of this place quite easy. So just pick up that treasure and then try to collect as many flowers as you can as you run to the right, but you won't have to worry about the enemies. They will be easily removed by our fly friend. Unfortunately, the bees are not our friend, so you'll want to make sure that you're carrying a box here that you can duck and hide inside if a dive-bombing bee comes your way. Just make it to the end here, and through that door is the boss. This boss is the Caterpillar, and this may be the easiest boss in the game. If you stand in this spot right here, the Caterpillar will never hit you. So just wait for it to cross your path, hit it with the ball, wait for it to split into pieces, and when it reforms, it will eventually walk back over to you and you can hit it again. After 5 simple shots, the Caterpillar will be defeated, and now there's only one more stage to finish. Zone J, the cat food factory. Of course Fat Cat's home base would be a cat food factory. I mean, how did you think he got so fat? And also, if you need to hide bodies, well, having a cat food plant could be a good way to get rid of them, if you know what I mean. Yep, this is the perfect place for a criminal cat mastermind to have his lair. Use these boxes to get through the running rhinos, and be very cautious on these conveyor belts. They will certainly push you around, but you can drop through them by pressing down and the jump button, just like you could through most platforms in the game. A rhino runner will reveal a few acorns for you up here. You'll need to be fighting against the conveyor belt, but if you just kind of hop around on it a bit, you can mitigate the effects. Head through the door and we'll reach the first checkpoint. Now, this is a long section that we'll need to get through without any checkpoints, so you need to be a bit more careful here. These enemies that can shoot plungers at you normally would take 2 hits to kill, but if you hit them with your shield maneuver, it only takes 1. Those plunger projectiles are quite dangerous, so you'll want to watch out for those guys and make your way up to this axe area, where you'll need to deal with these axes at the same time you're working with the conveyor belt. Whenever the axe is on the left side, that's when you want to jump up on top and then quickly make your way over to the left. Over here, use a box to take out some of these wart enemies, or just hide here and wait for them to pass by. Do your best to conserve your health and make your way over to the left here. Once you get all the way to the left, we're going to climb up to the top, and there's some of these food mashers, I guess, that we'll have to turn off. To turn them off, you simply just have to throw a box up at the switch, and you don't have to hit that switch on the left side where there's 2 of them. You only need to hit the one on the right. Over here, there's another star you can grab, and quickly grab these flowers. You'll need to be holding a box to get the one at the top. And then this section can be tough. First, to deal with this plunger guy, let him walk off the end. Use this box to take out that wart. And last but not least, walk over to the right to spawn this plunger guy, but head back to the left and he will turn around and walk away. Once you've cleared out those enemies on the conveyor belt, The rest of the stage is actually pretty easy. Up here at the top, we can grab a bunch of flowers and a few hidden stars, and if you just keep throwing the boxes quickly, you'll take out any wart enemies that will appear in front of you. There's no acorns up here though, so try to keep your health high, because through the door is Fat Cat. Well, instead of using his claws or superior size, Fat Cat attacks us with a cigar. If you go all the way to the left side of the screen, that's a totally safe spot, but there's an almost safe spot in front of that second panel from the left, and that's a good place to stand and throw the ball at him 5 times. It's almost too easy. And that's it, we've done it. We've beaten Rescue Rangers. All we can do now is sit back, relax, and enjoy the cheesy ending. Well, I hope this video was able to help you finally beat Rescue Rangers and put a stop to Fat Cat's cat trafficking operation once and for all. If it did, make sure to give it a like, and make sure to subscribe for more videos, because there will always be more cartoon crime to curtail, and that's why we'll be back again next week with another video game you can beat. Thanks for watching.